Well, good morning. Welcome to Daily Focus. And I'm sorry I missed yesterday. I got a flu bug in the middle of the night and that lasted through yesterday. I was in no shape to be in front of you on camera for sure. But I feel much better today. And I thank the Lord that it was only a 24-hour thing. Well, today's lesson is a wild one, right? And so we left David having been confronted by Abigail, who gave him wise counsel regarding his anger and his retaliation mindset and what was really at stake, and just caused him to take pause and think through things wisely. And he had great respect for Abigail, and was able um, to not go through with his foolishness. Well, as Abigail tells Nabal, her husband, what all took place, the Bible says that in the morning, uh, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, in other words, he'd been drinking, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him and he became as a stone. And I don't know if that pictures a heart attack. I don't know what that really means. I tend to think that that's probably what happened. And he lasted 10 days, the Bible says, and then he died. Um, did God kill Nabal? And my answer is it sure looks like he did. And God was coming to revenge David. I think it was twofold. Number one, to deal with Nabal and his arrogance and his uh, poor behavior, but it also was to remind David he doesn't have to um, get vengeance for himself, that God sees what happens to his children and God can deal with things. One of the greatest lessons I learned in leadership is not every accusation deserves an answer, not every conclusion deserves an explanation. I think sometimes people draw their conclusions and they make their comments, and sometimes filled with accusations, but they're self-centered and they're self-serving and they're rooted out of a selfish agenda, and that doesn't always need an answer. You don't need to defend yourself against foolishness. People are quick to broadcast their ignorance from time to time, and some of wisdom just allows them to do that. When you know all the facts, you're able to rest in God. And I think that's really what Abigail was teaching David. And now David is able to see that, you know what, he didn't need to get vengeance. He needed to trust the Lord to deal with Nabal. Verse 39, and when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. For the Lord hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. He then sends servants saying, you know, we would like you to take you to David to become his wife. She humbly accepts and goes and becomes his wife, and it's just a very unique thing. Well, why I said this is a wild story is we have so much drama going on that I'm not sure I know all the answers, but I do happen to know the facts. And the fact is that when David killed Goliath, Saul gave him Michal as a wife, his daughter, and and Michal loved David, and she even helped him to escape. Well, part of Saul's way to get even with David was that he gave Michal to Faulty, so that she would be his wife. You say, well, how did he do that? Well, he was king of Israel, and I guess you're able to do that. David had obviously split for his own life, and maybe Michael was all alone, and Saul said, okay, well, if David's gone and he's not coming back, then I can give her to someone else. And he did. Whatever happened in that world, we'll come across some more of that as we go forward. But it's just a very unusual situation, full of drama, no doubt. But here, David decides to take Abigail to wife. But then the Bible throws this in verse 43. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives. Now, I don't know, that just sounds like trouble no matter what. For one, it's not God's design, even if it was culturally acceptable, or it may be even culturally relevant to what the king was trying to accomplish. It was going to be wrought with trouble. And I think we're going to find that at the end of First Samuel, when he comes back to Ziklag, and these two wives are gone, and the children, and all of the trouble that we'll see that happens in chapter 30. Here we have David doing something that I think was culturally acceptable, but not biblically approved, and it's going to create drama. And this, unfortunately, is not going to be the last wife that he takes. And it's just kind of a confusing thing for us in New Testament theology, and in the church age, to try to process how was this going on, and why was it going on, and it just doesn't seem to make any sense to us, and it doesn't. But I'm just here to tell you that God is very particular in what he has designed and what it is to produce within that design. And any violation of that design creates drama. But I want to just go back and remind us that in this story, we can remember this: not every accusation deserves an answer. Not every conclusion that people want to state needs to be explained. Sometimes people are just wrong. Ants are not a fool according to their folly. And when people have a selfish agenda, they are promoting a selfish thought, or a conclusion that doesn't fit their narrative. So therefore, they accuse in order to justify their narrative. It doesn't always need an answer. We can let God deal with those situations. When people wrong us, it doesn't justify us doing wrong to seek vengeance or retaliation. Sometimes it's just letting God take care of it. And so the thing that we learn most about this is not that David ends up with a wife. It's that God deals with Nabal and protects David from doing something foolish, and also proves that he is able to deal with those who do wickedly. And so may we grow in our faith and trust in God, and realize that we don't have to take everything into our own hands. Sometimes it's just being meek. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. God bless you. I hope you have a great day. I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.